All right, HVA, this is our grammar usage activity for ELA Wednesday, December the 9th. And we're going to be talking about idioms. Now, idioms are one of my favorites. It's called a figurative language, which means it's a figure of speech. And idioms are really interesting because we often hear them when we're having different conversations with people. We just don't know that they were called idioms, okay? So the first thing I want us to do is I'm going to write out the definition of an idiom so you'll understand what it is. And then we're going to actually complete a couple of these activities, probably one from each row, and then we'll go from there, okay? So an idiom is a word or phrase Miss Heard just spelled phrase all wrong, but she's going to fix it, don't worry. Oh, yes, even teachers make mistakes. Okay, a word or phrase which means something different or just put something else than the actual words used. Okay. Write that on your paper because it's going to help you with your work when Miss Heard's not here working with you. So an idiom is a word or phrase which means something completely different than the actual words used. Okay. So we'll use the words, but I don't mean exactly what it is saying. Okay. One thing I want to ask, because I don't see it on the paper, so I want to make sure. So if we say it's raining cats and dogs, you may have heard your mom say that. 9 times out of 10, you probably heard your grandma or your auntie say it, like, man, it's raining cats and dogs out there. Now, if I go outside, I am not going to see actual cats and dogs coming from the sky. That's not what's going to happen. But when we say it's raining cats and dogs, we mean that it's raining really, really hard out there, okay? Because if cats and dogs came from the sky, that's going to be kind of heavy, and if it hit you, it would hurt. So when I say raining cats or dogs, I'm not necessarily saying that cats or dogs are coming from the sky. I'm saying that it's raining really, really hard, okay? Now, that is what we are going to be looking at here on our idioms. We're going to look at different examples, and our goal is when we look over here, we can fill them in. Now, if you have scissors and glue at home, be my guest, cut them out and glue them. If you don't have scissors and glue at home, you do not have an excuse not to do it because you can just write what is over here into your correct spot, okay? All right, so I am going to look at number 1. Number 1 says iron it out. I'm going to give you an example in a sentence, and then we're going to go over and look at what could possibly be it, okay? All right, so if I am talking to someone and we have this great idea about creating a new show, and someone comes up and say, oh, how's the new show coming? And I say, we're still ironing out the details. We're still ironing out the details. That means that I am still trying to figure some things out, okay? So let's go over to our choices and see if we can find something close to that. Very happy. If I'm still trying to iron out the details or figure it out, is that very happy? No, it's not grab my attention. Oh, excuse me. We're not being very careful. It wasn't expensive. We're not trying harder. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure out a problem. I'm trying to solve that problem, okay? So if I'm trying to iron out the details, I'm trying to solve what's going on, okay? So I'm going to come over to 1 and say solve a problem. I'm just going to fill that in, okay? I'm also going to go to number 4, okay? Okay, yeah. So number 4 says bit off more than you can chew. Okay, so if you are trying to if you were trying, let's just use it in a great sense. If I am trying to create, let's go back to creating. If I'm trying to create this awesome idea that I have and I'm really trying to do it, but then I'm also creating the pages, I'm also recording the videos, I'm also trying to edit the videos, I'm also trying to introduce to new people, I'm trying to get sponsors, I'm trying to do all these different things, I can become overwhelmed and I start to realize I bit off more than I can chew, which means that I am doing too much. I'm trying to do too much. Okay? And so trying to do too much is actually right here. So I'm going to mark those two out because we already did solve a problem. And I'm going to write in here, trying to do too much. Okay? You got too much going on. You can't finish it all. You're trying to do too much. You bit off more than you can chew. And in essence, if I have too much food in my mouth, it's very hard for me to chew it. Sometimes if you stuff your mouth too much, you can choke or you have to spit out the food. That means you got too much going on. Okay? Alrighty. Let's go down to number 6, which says use more elbow grease. All right. So when I say use more elbow grease, I may have my son in there trying to wash my car. Okay, and he's like, "Oh, mom, this dirt's not coming off the tire." And I say, "Well, you probably need to use a little bit more elbow grease to get it off." Okay, I am telling him I need him to try harder. Okay, and we say use elbow grease because a lot of times it is because you're moving your hand back and forth, and you have to work out that elbow. So it means to try harder. Okay, and I'm going to do one more down at the bottom. Walking on eggshells. Okay, I'm going to give you a sentence. The teacher was so mad at the students that they were walking on eggshells, nervous to come into the classroom. Okay, walking on eggshells. They were nervous to come in the classroom, probably did something in front of the sub, and they were not happy with it, so they were walking on eggshells. That is being very careful. They didn't want to do anything to disrupt the teacher, so they wanted to be very careful. Okay, so being very careful is going to go there. Now, idioms, the best thing for you to do is try to use it in a sentence. Also, you have a resource. If you have your own personal device, don't be afraid to use it and look up idioms to help you understand it better. Idioms are a fun thing. You probably say them and didn't realize it. But once again, idioms are a word or phrase which means something else than the actual words used. So I don't want you to use elbow grease. I want you to try harder. You're walking on eggshells. You're being very careful. Okay? If you need help, call me, text me 256-513-8064 or email me. All right, guys, that's all.